I think this week might be my favorite block yet. Hi, I'm Angie with Cutting Edge Quilter, and this week we are working with the name of this quilt I'm not for sure of. I just know it came from Heavenly Notions from the Shop Hop in 2022, and this is what it actually looks like. But it doesn't tell the name of the block, so I'm not for sure what it is. But as soon as I saw this when I purchased it, I knew this would be probably one of my favorite ones because there's just so many little pieces to it, and I love the colors and things like that. So let's make this block. So here's the block that we're going to make today. First thing that we need to do for this block is they gave us some long pieces. It's too long to fit in the frame here. Gave us 4 long pieces of fabric, really pretty fabric. And then this one is going to be the background fabric. You may recognize it from some of the other videos I did. Like I told you in the previous video, most of these are supposed to be coordinating with each other, so by the time it's all said and done, they'll all coordinate together. So what I need to do right now is go ahead and cut all of these up to the specifications of the pattern, and then we'll piece them together and go from there. Now that I have the fabric cut, what I'm going to do is take 2 pieces, put them right sides together, so I have these right sides together, and then I will sew down one side, and then I'm going to press the seam to the darker fabric. So that's going to be pressed the seam to this side of the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then we'll start cutting it up. Okay, so once you sew those strips together, you had those long strips, and you cut them, you sewed them together, you cut them up, and then you will kind of do it like a little 4 square patch here. So I have 4 of these cute little guys, and I pressed those, sewed them up, and this is what we'll put kind of in the center of the block. So now those are done. I'm going to start. I am going to go to the next part of the pattern. This is actually a pretty easy pattern to follow, so this is one of the good ones that I got. I'm going to put these to the side and get a couple more strips, and then I'll be right back. Okay, now I've got 2. This is the background fabric right here, and this is another strip the same size. I'm going to put these right sides together, and I'm going to sew down one side of these 2, and I'll press on the darker fabric, towards the darker fabric, so it's going to be pressing towards this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're also going to cut those into little subcuts and make a little patch with those as well. Okay, so I sewed these together, and I pressed my seams to the dark fabric. So now I have another little piece like this. This is the background. I'm going to sew this piece onto the right sides together of this darker piece. So when it's all said and done, there'll be 3 pieces sewn together like this. That's what I'm going to subcut. Okay, so these strips are sewn together, and I think it's a little happy little accident that I kind of almost fussy cut it without even realized it. Let me get you down closer to the fabric. Get these little birds right in the middle, and they fit perfectly into there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these into little sections. Then we'll make a few little blocks out of this. Okay, so there's all my little pieces of that. I just cut them in little strips, little sections. And now I'm going to get some of my background fabric and another piece of that little fabric that I just cut up. I have another piece of that. I'm going to sew right sides together. This one on top of this one. I'll just sew on the top, and then I'll subcut those into little sections. Okay, now I have all of those cut up, the little strips, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate the strips to make a 9 patch. So here's one of them. I'm going to put this like this, Then I'll get one of these middle ones that will go like this, and then I will alternate it to make it go like this. And this is going to be my little patch. So I'm going to sew these together, and I'll make several of these. Let's see, probably maybe 4 of these, and we'll get these sewn together, and that's going to be part of the middle block as well. Alright, so I've gotten these all cut up, and here is the finished product. Little squares. Now that those 9 patches are done, I'm going to take one of the little background rectangles and one of these squares of this leaf fabric, and I'm going to cut on it. I've made diagonal lines on all of these squares. So I'm going to sew them together along this line that I drew, and then I'm going to cut this little triangle off and just make little rectangles, sort of like this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back and we'll sew them onto a strip. And I'm going to actually make 4 of these. Alright, now these are done. This is what that looks like. I'm going to square these up to make sure they're nice and straight, and then we'll get started to make the other strips and attach them all together to make the block. Now it's time to use this pretty floral fabric. So what I'm going to do here is I have 4 of these. I'm going to cut or put the background fabric, those little squares of background fabric, I had drawn a diagonal line on them. I'm going to go ahead and cut the line, or I'm going to sew on the line on all 4 of these, and then I will cut off this little triangle at the end and make one rectangle that will look sort of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do all 4 of these and then see what's next on the pattern. Okay, next, now that I have these done, and here's my little 4 patch ones, I'm going to sew this onto this little right sides together, and I'll sew down this line, and then it's going to come into a little strip section. I'm going to make 4 of these. Okay, now that I have these sewn together, little rectangles, I am going to start working on some more little rectangles as well. I'll start working on some more sewing together. So what I'll do is use these rectangles along with these squares, the 9 patches, and sew those together so they will look something like this. I have 4 of those that I will sew together, and I'll come right back. Now this is where it gets fun, because we're going to fit all of these pieces like a little puzzle to make the actual block. So let's go ahead and do that now. So this one will be the middle piece. It's a little square. That's going to be the middle piece, and then we're going to put these on the sides on all 4 corners of the square. And this has a picture of how it's supposed to go. So that's kind of where I'm going with to make these come together. So and you want to make sure that you get the right, you know, the way that these are cut, the right direction. So this is almost like a little pinwheel so far. So you see these are all going facing this way. Now I'm going to work with these. So what I'm looking at is the way these are cut and how that will come together on the block. Okay. So I'm looking at this. this. Almost like a little pinwheel for these as well. And then if you notice this little piece right here, let me zoom in a little bit. These are kind of little, they call them sea foam. So they're all in the middle. So that's where you want to kind of place them. Alright. So there's those. And now I'm going to be working with these little pieces. I'm going to put these to the corners. And there it is. There's the block. So what I'm going to do is sew these together. I'm going to sew these two together, then these two together, and then sew it onto the middle. We're going to treat them like little rows. So this is going to be a row. This middle piece is going to be a row, going to be sewed together. And then this is going to be sewn together. This is going to be a row. Then I will sew this onto this, onto this. So, and then it'll come back to be one full block. Okay, that was actually really fun to make. I'm glad that we were, it wasn't as difficult as what the actual picture looked like. So, and it was really fun. There's a lot of little pieces. I just like, it's almost like a little puzzle. I like those kind of blocks. So this is the finished block. And it looks like almost like an exploding star type block. I'm not for sure. Like I said, I don't know the name of it, but this is what it looks like after it's finished. And this is the back of the block. Lots of seams. So that's the back of it. And like I said, this is the front. So thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button below and hit the subscribe button to see next week where I'll be doing another. I think we have 3 blocks left to finish that up, and then we will make the quilt or wall hanging, whatever it turns out to be. You'll see it as soon as as soon as these blocks are done. We'll figure it out together. Thanks for watching. Happy quilting.